Well, hey there, everyone. John here from Team Arthur, and I'm coming to you in a little different kind of video today. You see, one of the things I would also love to do on this channel is not only show some of the vlogs while we are on our trips, but also talk a little bit about the planning process and how we as a family are able to travel, staying on a budget, a family of four with kids, and we get to travel quite a bit, and we're blessed to do that. But I would love to share some of the tips that we've learned over the years that help us do this while staying on budget. You see, April and I are both teachers in our daily job, and so for us to travel with our family, we definitely have to budget effectively to make sure everything's covered. And one of the ways we do that is by leveraging miles and points. Our first major vacation of 2025 is coming up in a couple of months, and in this video, I'm going to take you through how we were able to secure $2,000 of flights for just $600 while using some miles and points that we have accumulated. I hope things like this are helpful to you as well, and if so, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and become a part of our virtual YouTube family. Let's get into the video. So let's get into it here. We are taking our first family vacation of 2025, and I want to try to just quickly go over with you how we were able to book $2,000, over $2,000 in flights with just about $600 total out of pocket spending. And so definitely used some miles and points there to do this. But you see, this is a trip that we're doing over our spring break period. April and I are both teachers, and so it's obviously a busy travel time, but as teachers, that's what we have to do. We don't have the luxury of traveling at other times of year. We have to go during the busy times for the most part. And so one of the things that we have found over the years, you can get a lot of strategy out there on using miles and points, but 95% of that strategy you're going to see from people out there showing you how to use them are people that can travel at off times of year. They can travel while school is in session because it doesn't apply to them. And that's just not the case for us, and that may not be the case for you. But we can still leverage some miles and points to our advantage. I will tell you, during the more crowded times of year, miles and points don't stretch as far. It was harder for me to find the best ways to use them, and that's just the nature of it. You could go find hundreds of YouTube videos of people using miles and points and redeeming them for these lavish business class trips and those types of things, but chances are they're not traveling over spring break or in the summer or over holiday break, when the vast majority of us can actually travel, and certainly those of us that are educators or have kids in school. And so that's what makes this a little bit crazy. And as I searched flights from our airport, flight prices were just insane, like to the point of, are we even going to be able to take this trip, or are we going to have to drive the 20 hours from our home to Orlando, Florida? And so it was crazy, but I kind of kept searching, and as I kind of kept track of what I was looking at, I'll just tell you, award flights were really, really high. I checked Southwest a lot out of our airport. They were about 30,000 Southwest Rapid Rewards points each way per person. So that's 240 round trip points that we would have needed. It's a lot of points, and wasn't going to be a great return, and I wasn't getting great value out of my points. Delta, 40,000 points per person each way. United, 45,000 points per person each way. I mean, those are just insane numbers of points. If you're a miles and points user, you can also, there's no transfer partners if you're using credit card points to American Airlines, but you can book those through British Airways and transfer from something like Chase Ultimate Rewards. I never found any availability on British Airways because a majority of my points were in either Chase Ultimate Rewards or American Express membership rewards. That's where the vast majority of my points were. I had some Southwest points in my account, not enough for all four of us. Same with Delta, and so I was going to obviously need to use. I had a large pile of Chase Ultimate Reward points and Amex membership reward points. If you're interested in how I got those, put something down in the comment, and I can always get into that in another video, but we're talking about these flights here in this video. I also decided though to do some checking. You see, we fly out of Oklahoma City, smaller, not a super small airport, probably 15 nonstop destinations out of Oklahoma City. But just the availability of points was not a lot. And so I also kind of checked for us to drive to Dallas Fort Worth to DFW. Sometimes that makes a difference. And you know, it's obviously inconvenient for us to drive. It's about 3 hours for us. It's inconvenient, but at this point for this trip during the busy times, kind of was maybe going to have to make that concession. I got to checking. Southwest was 35,000 per person each way. That's more than Oklahoma City, so we're not doing that. Delta was 35,000 each way, a little bit better than it was out of Oklahoma City, but still not a good value. I could have got some American Airlines flights nonstop through British Airways, but they were coming in at 42,000 points each way per person. Insane numbers of points during these busy times of year. And again, some of us have to travel during these times, and so I want to help you if that's the case. So I just kept checking and I kept checking and eventually was able to come across, just through kind of checking over the course of about a month and a half, I stumbled upon some United Airlines award flights that were coming in at around 18,000 per person each way. Still not a fantastic redemption value by any means, but it was within the realm of possibility. I certainly had plenty of Chase points to cover that. United is a transfer partner of Chase, and so I could transfer. I had plenty to do this on points if the value was right. You certainly want to make sure you're getting the value out of those points. But again, we're traveling at a busy time, so the value we get per point is not going to be as much. That's just the life of a household of teachers and kids in school. You've got to stretch those points as much as you can, but you also got to be realistic when you're traveling at those busy times. So here's the plan. The flights from Dallas Fort Worth to Orlando were running about 18,000 points per person. And I'll put this on the screen here for you so kind of keep track. So those flights from Dallas Fort Worth were running about 18,000 points per person, and that flight was selling for $272 cash. That's about 1.51 cents per point, which is, again, not a fantastic redemption value, but if I'm going to use my points on flights, I do, typically the bottom line is about 1.5 cents. That's a good redemption value. Not great, not fantastic, but at busy times of year, it is a good amount of value during those times. And so that's how that flight was coming in. Our flights back from MCO to DFW were running about 21,000 United mileage plus miles, and that flight was selling at $247 cash. So that was only going to be about a 1.18 cents per mile return. Not near as good of a return. And so with those numbers in mind, I kind of made the call that we would use the points, some of the points we had to pay for our flights from DFW to Orlando, and then pay cash for our flights coming back to DFW at the end of the trip. And again, that 1.51 cents per point is a good amount of return. Not great, but it's good. We're bound by school calendars. We're going to take that and when we can get it and use our points. And then I'll explain why I was able to pay cash on the way back. So as we're coming home, these flights were $247. There are four of us, that's $988. What I knew at this point, though, and here's what I kind of used to my advantage, and this is always something to check. It may not be always a strategy that you use because you certainly want it to make sense for your family. But this is not the only trip that I was going to be using United miles for in 2025. And I'll share about some of our other trips. I got even better award mileage redemption values in some other trips. This is just the first one coming up. But I've got some other trips planned that we had already used points for on United. And so the plan in this case was to pay the $988, but in the process, sign up for the United Explorer card through Chase. It's been probably 6 or 8 months since I've applied for a new credit card. I'm not one of those people that does it month after month after month and just churns through these cards. But it had been a while since I had done a new card, and so planned on doing this. And as I did that, United had the deal running where you got a $400 statement credit for the flights that I purchased when I applied for the card. So I purchased these first flights from Orlando to Dallas and actually only paid $588 once I got that credit. Now, I'm also going to get a bonus on this card of 30,000 United miles. I'm not even factoring those into this conversation because I just recently, after about a month and a half, I will finish the sign up bonus, the spend that I've got to use for that. And so I'm not even factoring those in, but I am going to get that separate amount of United points for this. But for this purpose, I'm just going to say we got $988 worth of flights for $588 because that's a credit that goes right onto my card and wipes out that first $400 of these flights that I purchased. Now, I also know that with the United card, one of the things to keep in mind, this didn't actually benefit me on this trip. It benefited me on another trip that we're taking in 2025. But it's that United, if you have an Explorer card or a card of a higher level than that, you get access to what United calls Saver Awards, and these are when flights are priced when they knock off an amount of miles needed for an award flight. You have to be logged into your Mileage Plus account. You have to have one of these cards. And so sometimes you can get those flights for as low as 7,500 miles per flight in economy. Obviously, at the busy times of year, I wasn't going to get that low. I was hoping, since I had booked that first and I got the Explorer card, I could go back and do my flights from Dallas to Orlando. I was hoping I could go back and do my flights from Dallas to Orlando, and that I might have a Saver Award in there. Unfortunately, I didn't in this case. Again, super crowded time of year, so I'm not surprised by that. I want to mention that if you do this and do apply for one of those United Explorer cards, you definitely might check those Saver Awards. So after confirming that 18,000 miles was the best award flight I could get for our dates, I transferred those 72,000 points for four of us from my Chase Ultimate Rewards account to my United Mileage Plus accounts. The points were delivered immediately, and I booked our flights from Dallas to Orlando for 72,000 points and $22.42 in those the processing fees, the 9/11 security fee. And so after all was said and done, I booked airfare, and I will, again, got it on the screen here. After all was said and done, I booked airfare at a total cash value of $2,076. Airfare's high right now. If you're looking to travel in 2025, it's just what it is. But $2,076, I actually paid $610.40 for our flights from Dallas to Orlando and back to Dallas. That's a pretty good return, again, considering this is a crowded spring break season. Everybody's traveling. Spring breaks in our part of the country all fall on that same week. And so it's sometimes some of the worst time to find award flight availability. And so to find some, I'm happy with. And then, of course, paying cash and getting the $400 credit for applying for the United Explorer card on the way home was, made this possible as well. I'm going to get to, again, use the benefits of that Explorer card throughout this year. You get a couple of free lounge passes. You don't get lounge access with the Explorer card. It is not a high-level card. It's only a $95 annual fee card. But you do get a couple of free lounge visits for the year where you get to take your family with you. You get some free bag benefits. You get a boarding benefit. And so it's a nice card in terms of the benefits you get if you're going to fly United. I would have not done this probably for one United flight. It's not worth the credit card application and all those kind of things, the nick on my credit and adding all those things. But since I already had plans to fly United, we have at least one other fully round-trip flight with United later in 2025, and then I think another trip we're flying it one way. So definitely we're going to get some use out of that card is, again, part of why this worked for us. Again, not going to have the best redemption value that we'll see in 2025. I've got some other trips where we redeem points for some better, for an even better value. And we book even a higher cost of flights for a lower out-of-pocket cost. But for right now, this was the first trip we got coming in 2025, and so I wanted to share that with you, and you'll have to wait on those other videos to see how I did on airfare for our other trips in 2025. We have some other fun trips planned. But for now, I want to say thanks for watching. I hope you like this type of video. If you did, please comment below. Tell me if you've had a good award redemption on an airline flight. I'd love to hear your stories. Again, I'm by no means an expert on this because we have to travel at crowded times of year. You can't be as successful at this traveling during the times of year we do. If you can travel at off times, you can get much better award redemptions that we do. But I want to share with you that it is possible to use miles on points to help you plan travel during the busy times of year. So finally, please subscribe to our channel if you haven't. We'd love to have you back. Check out some of our vlogs where we travel to other places. I'm in the midst of getting our Alaska cruise vlog series uploaded here on the channel, so hopefully you're enjoying those and watching those. Please subscribe, click the notification bell. We're so glad you joined us today and hope you come back and watch again in the future. Happy travels.